All right, so first off, I'm Mike Lewis. I'm running for the Republican Party. Today, I'm going to talk about what change I would like to make. My entire campaign is based off of actual change. I want policies that will actually change what our constituents want, what you want. We want those policies to actually reflect the ideas and the movements that you're moving towards. So those ideas go into rebuilding and reestablishing the structures that the former administration put in place in order to prosper economically, internationally, and domestically. This means that we must establish a system with less government control and put forward a flat tax on the economy. A flat tax would overall have would have a better control over those multinational corporations, have less tax breaks, and it would also make it more efficient and easier to understand the tax system for those people who aren't familiar with the tax system. Also, that's it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm Cammie Harrison, and I am the Democrat candidate. There can only be one solution to our issues, complete overall of everything the Republican Party stands for in these areas. We must reinstate strict environmental measures and impose a carbon tax on big corporations so the pollution is curbed. But do not fear, there will not be any backlash towards this due to the money raised for the carbon tax be funneled into lowering the prices of clearing. Alternate energy sources. We must strictly regulate pharmaceutical prices within our nation. Not only our national charge more than basic pharmaceutical more than other nations, but the extreme pricing of life savings medications. Our education system will be more funneled into starting an advanced curriculum. I also support women's rights, and we are well aware of the lack of women representation in our government.
So the biggest challenges that I would like to address are the economy. I'd like to make our economic system prosper and grow to lengths that it's never been in the past, especially in the past few years. We've seen unemployment rates go through the roof. We've had promises of a lot of jobs opening, but we haven't actually seen unemployment rates go down. So that's one of my main concerns. Also, having affordable healthcare for everyone is also a major concern for me. I believe that healthcare is a basic human right, and having access to affordable healthcare is something really important to everyone, and that should be put forth in our policies, and policies that actually make sense in terms of healthcare. Also, I believe that while it's not affecting us domestically, we should also focus on international affairs and increasing our soft power internationally. Thank you.
All issues and challenges faced by American citizens right now are a direct result of President Trump's actions. Mike is an extension of President Trump and will keep on rolling his horrible policies. Revoking environment protection goals such as the Paris Agreement seems to have killed a good portion of Mother Nature. Failing to regulate and help our citizens with medical expenses and raising EpiPen prices because an untreated epidemic. And second, the administration turned its back on American people, and our education system is lacking compared to the rest of the world, and we'll go more in depth into all of these issues more into the debate.
Okay, so one of the things you mentioned was changing the prices for drug companies. I'm also behind that. How do you plan on moving forward with that?
So we are all saying that it's the problem with the hospitals and all the insurances, but it's actually the people that make the drugs, and we need to put regulations on the prices. So they pretty much have it as a monopoly, so we have to put regulations on all of the prices that they're putting.
How would we put regulations over drug companies?
Well, we could look at the actual prices of the drugs, and we do have to look at we have to pay them well, but not let them choose their prices.
Okay, so basic economics states that if you have a price ceiling over something, you're going to end up with a shortage. How do you plan on counteracting that?
So we also want to pay them what they should earn and not anymore.
Yeah. Subsidizing drug company. Okay, so I have heard a few views that are adamant on getting rid of the Affordable Health Care Act, or Affordable Care Act. But if we do, we must realize that 20 million Americans will instantly lose their health insurance. Getting rid of it would also increase the premiums that large groups of our citizens struggle to pay. So I believe that with the Affordable Care Act, what we should do is keep what works, build on that, and then get rid of what doesn't work. So we have to keep the ban on discriminating against people with pre-existing conditions. We have to keep the increased access to preventative and maternity care, and we have to keep the ability for young people to stay on their parents' plan until they turn 26. Those are all very important things that the Affordable Care Act does and does well. So those are very important. We keep that going with our new Care Act, and then after that, we have to get rid of what doesn't work. And what doesn't work is how the drug companies interact with our constituents. So making sure that drug companies are held accountable. Thank you.
Okay, so there's no question about whether the United States can or cannot make healthcare affordable, but they can. The nation has a vast financial and intellectual resources available to solve the problem. Most Americans, approximately 86%, have health insurance provided by their employer, the government, or are self-insured through a private market. The challenge involves covering the 39 million Americans who find it difficult to obtain affordable health insurance. Our government should invest more in researching diseases and cure rather than leaving it up to the big pharmaceutical companies that sell the drugs and the ones that set the prices. The politics of healthcare sectors greatly complicate the problems of the insurance.
So, how do you plan on making? What type of research would you like to do?
So we would have more research on cancer and the deadly diseases.
Okay. What's your stance on the Affordable Care Act?
Well, we believe in that as well. But you said that you wanted to have people on their parents' health plan until they're 26. Why'd you pick that age?
I believe that works because young people should be able to stay on their parents' plan because it's something that's really beneficial to young people, especially as they go through college and they have all these taxes and they have to pay back all their tuition fees. So having it until the age of 26 is very important just because having people being able to grow and get a job before they have to start paying all these fees would be important.
Why wouldn't the age be 18 if that's when they're legal and they're their own person?
A lot of people go through college before they're 18, so I believe that having to pay tuition is something that's difficult to do, especially if you have to pay health insurance.
How are you planning to pay for this?
Okay, so economics in the government is pretty simple. The main thing when you're looking at governments and economies, the pretty basic thing is let the market do its thing and only interfere when you have to. The things that you have to interfere with are like minimum wage and a few other things. So just keep the government out of it, and that means that don't give more power to politicians and also don't give more breaks to multinational corporations. We're gonna get our economy back on track we're not going to get our economy back on track by punishing some people to pay for everyone else, or by telling taxpayers that the American dream is no longer within reach. So the entire thing there is making sure that people are paying what they can, but also not putting these giant brakes on multinational corporations. We have to make sure that the basic taxpayer, the average taxpayer, can do what they can to grow economically for themselves, but also as our entire economy. Thank you.
Okay, so right now our employment rate is at 4%, which is very good, but we also have a lot of people that are underemployed, which means that they don't get paid what they should. So what we plan to do is raise the minimum wage, the state and national minimum wage, to $10, And this is no matter the status or the age. So if there are immigrant workers, they do not have to pay the minimum wage. So we are planning to, doesn't matter if they're immigrants or whoever they are, that they get paid $10. And we also believe that we should charge the big corporations for them to pay more taxes because they won't even feel it, unlike the other people in their community.
Okay, so you mentioned raising the minimum wage even for those who aren't legal citizens. How would that process work? How would you make sure that companies are paying people at all the same price?
So we are hoping to keep records of everything, and if not, then we would have to look more into the companies. They would have to go through the government if they're not doing the requirements.
If people aren't legal citizens in the United States, would they be comfortable with having records on?
Well, our goal is to help people be more legal in the country.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you think our minimum wage should be?
I believe our minimum wage works pretty well. $11.50 is, I believe, what it's at right now. I think that works pretty well. What we have right now is a lot of people who can pay for a lot of people are getting those jobs because that's all they can get. I believe that we should continue to allow people to make the money that they can. Okay, so first off, talking about gun violence, I believe that the government has no right to take anyone's lawfully purchased guns away, but taxpayers pay over $200 billion every year because of gun-related crimes, deaths, and injuries. That's more than $600 per citizen. That means that you're paying a gun tax because of our gun laws. So America is a gun-owning country and always has been. Americans have the right to protect themselves, especially in dangerous places, but law enforcement isn't succeeding in protecting them. So we simply can't sit by and allow dangerous criminals to arm themselves. We have to use common sense when we're talking about gun control. It's easy to say that we should make the process hard. We should go and change the legal age to own a gun from 18 to 21. But when you actually look at who's buying, we start to realize that the wrong groups are buying guns, which are causing the wrong people to have guns. So overall, we should change our laws behind that.
I firmly believe that the real issue with guns is the lack of comprehensive mental issues, and we should have more in-depth background checks. We wish to update the national system in order to make it more efficient and comprehensive. So we also think that that our health insurance should cover mental illnesses, and we should have more therapy and more help with the big problem, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so you say you do not believe in so you want stricter regulations on guns, right?
I don't believe in stricter regulation. I believe that it should be at least as hard as it is to buy a car as it is to purchase a gun, but stricter regulation and frequent checks aren't necessary.
So why does the NRA support you, or you support them?
Why do I support the NRA? Because they support the Constitution, and they're also a company that works well with the economy.
But they support more guns.
Yeah, they support good gun regulation. That's the entirety of what the NRA does. I don't know if we want to talk about the NRA, but what they're doing is making sure that the right people are buying guns and they're buying them in the right way. Without the NRA, we wouldn't know where to go with gun regulations. So,
their goal is to have more guns.
I don't know if that's a goal by the NRA.
Okay.
So changing our carbon footprint, I believe that we should start moving away from big oil and away from coal. While we're having that process, though, we shouldn't be subsidizing big oil as much as we are. They should be working as the group that they are, which is a monopoly, and continue to work as a multinational corporation. We shouldn't be benefiting them as the government. It's not our jurisdiction to be able to help big oil, but also helping fund alternate energy would create a lot of jobs, which is part of my goal. So I believe that moving towards alternative energy is very important.
As one of the leading countries of carbon emissions, we plan to rejoin the Paris Agreement, fund alternative funds, and put taxes on carbon. Our country has done a lot of damage to this world by not joining the Paris Agreement. Some might ask if it really is going to help, and yes, there's no question about it that we are much better off with the agreement.
Okay, so you mentioned having a carbon tax on people. How do you plan on doing that?
So we should tax the countries so we should have a limit, and then the countries that exceed that limit, tax them.
Tax countries? How would we tax the countries?
Well, it would just benefit our economy.
No, but how would you tax the countries?
If they exceed it.
Okay.
Just make them pay more.
So what are you talking about, tariffs?
Yeah.
Okay, so we would have tariffs on. Okay, and then how would we move from alternative energy?
Isn't that what you believe in as well?
Yeah. How would we move towards alternative energy?
So we should also be funding research, and we can use solar panels and other clean energy.
I believe that it's very important to reduce the role of money in American elections. But what I think is a bigger issue is having other countries influence our elections. I believe that having countries such as Russia influence our elections is something that we shouldn't be focused. Is something that we should move away towards, and we should have our people have more of a democracy and have each vote count, have each vote matter. So that's why I believe that we should have less of a focus on money than just having your basic right to vote. If we have more of an influence on that, then we end up having more people or more of those corporations having a stronger hold in our government, which doesn't work. It doesn't work in economics, and it doesn't work with building a good society. So.
It is my firm belief that the amount of money isn't what the issue is. The real issue is where the money is coming from. When you get a big interest group or corporation such as the NRA paying the maximum amount allowed to a candidate, then the candidates are inclined to support these establishments over the will of the people. The NRA since 1998 has reported spending a cumulative of $45.9 million on federal lobbying. Rather than decreasing the amount of money in elections, I would advocate for making candidates go more towards people. If the people are the ones giving the money, then they should allow them to think that.
Okay, so a lot of the things that the Trump administration failed to do was a lot of the focus was on unemployment during his election, and a lot of the focus was on immigration during the election. I believe that changing our immigration system to actually reflect what our constituents want is very important, and I believe that also changing our unemployment rates is also very important. So yeah, I just put forward the policies that change how that administration has interacted with our country, and yeah.
Okay, so to clarify the question, I'm gonna answer what I think Trump failed as a president. So I also believe that he failed with the immigration, and so you say that you are wanting to allow immigrants into our country? So do you believe immigrants should be allowed in our country?
Yeah, I believe that we've been talking about our immigration system for a long time, but I believe that actually focusing on those who are or focusing on those who are benefiting our economy and helping those people who are growing our economy and striving to create jobs, and also making that process easier. Because when you look at how big corporations work, a lot of big corporations have a lot of like under the table like labor, and they work through unpaid or paying people below minimum wage,
Okay.
because they're not legal citizens.
So it would be great if Republicans did believe that, but in your platform as a Republican, they do not agree with immigration. So what do you have to say about that?
I believe that immigration is good.
So you're willing to change what your party believes for your own beliefs?
No, my party believes in growing an economy.
So you do realize Trump is a Republican, and he wanted to build a wall. So what do you think about that?
Just because he's a Republican doesn't mean that I exhibit his policies and his traits. I have different policies than he does.
Well, you are a Republican, so you guys should believe in the same thing.
Okay, so I think we've been arguing in this country about our immigration system for decades, to the point where I'm thinking that people would rather argue about it than actually fix it. So let's actually fix it. Let's keep those who work hard and contribute to our economy, and let's keep the lawbreakers out. People who pass a criminal background check, pay back taxes and a fine, and commit to learning English should be given a way to become citizens. If everyone plays by the rules, they can pay and stay and earn citizenship. And we should also fix our immigration system to remain a strong, secure nation in the process. Changing our immigration system isn't going to damage how our nation works. It's going to, we can also have a lot of immigration reform while holding a strong economy and also holding our strong employment rates.
Okay, first off, I would like to point out that there is no flood of immigrants. In fact, the immigration is as low as it's been in a while. However, my plan to deal with immigration is to start by having comprehensive background checks to make the process easier for people to come into the United States, so they won't have to resort to jumping borders or dangerously crossing rivers. It would reduce the amount of illegal immigrants by a large percentage, making more legal channels for immigrants to come legally, a goal that I have to shorten. At least 70% of farms and field workers are legal immigrants. They help make sure that there's milk and fruit on your table, plus they contribute to the economy by paying taxes just like everyone else. Let's make this home a home for everyone. So, Adam. So are you just trying to please the audience and tell them what they want to hear?
With my stance?
With immigration.
No,
Because you are a mirror of Trump.
I'm not a mirror of Trump. I'm running Republican, but I don't exhibit anyone else's policies. My entire campaign is voting for actual change. I'm not at all a mirror of Trump. I believe that what I do believe in, though, is changing how our immigration system, and I want to actually change. I want to put forth policies that actually change what our constituents want. That's my entire thing.
So you're willing to change your whole platform for that?
That is my platform. Okay, so what we talked about today, I know there's just like a few places where we can make progress, and if you feel the same way about these issues, which I know the vast majority of Americans do, I need you to get out there and I need you to do your part. I need you to stay engaged. We know we can make progress, but for us to do something, I need you all to do something. I need you to vote. I need you to get your friends and neighbors to vote. I ask you to stand with me. Join me, and together we'll build the country we know we can be. Because this election isn't about any other, isn't about Donald Trump, it isn't about Hillary Clinton. It's about where we're headed to as a nation, and I believe we're headed towards economic freedom, self-governance, strength abroad, and prosperity at home. Thank you.
Okay, so in conclusion, I have a lot of good ideas for us to better our economy, but I'm also running against someone who has Democrat rights, but who's dressed as a Republican, so I don't know. Yeah, that's about it. Hope let's make this a home for everybody. That's, yeah.